Opening shot, Chicago politics can be dysfunctional at times, but hey, at least we ain't Washington, D.C. After all, Congress hasn't agreed on a federal budget in years and years and years, instead opting for these continuing spending resolutions that last for a few months, and then the two parties bicker again and they threaten to shut down because they can't even agree on the spending resolution. Love it or hate it, Chicago's elected officials always produce a balanced budget, but this year, things are coming to a head. You see, there's the $1.15 billion budget gap, and there's Mayor Johnson's $100 million proposed corporate head tax, which he says must be part of the final package. A group of 26 alders said over our unthawed frozen bodies. They propose an alternative plan that doubles the garbage collection fee, increases liquor taxes and rideshare congestion fees, among other things. And this week, 32nd Ward Alderman Scott Waguespack told us why he believes the alternative approach was the way to go.
What we've done is crafted a budget that we can say we're going to hit the reset button, get aldermen back to the table, show some leadership here, and wrest away this budget from the mayor that is basically a head tax that's a job killer, and borrowing and other types of funding that cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars in the long run.
But Mayor Johnson is unimpressed. He's holding firm today, saying in so many words that it's his way or the highway on that head tax.
I think it's pretty straightforward here that we can either balance this budget off the backs of working people or challenge 3% of the largest corporations in the city of Chicago to put more skin in the game. That's the conclusion that I've come to.
Now, the mayor puts the blame on corporate interests for ginning up a campaign to sink his head tax. He might have a point there, but in his defense, the multi-million-dollar Chicago Teachers Union is urging alders to support him. A December 8th meeting to consider a budget has already been canceled, and by law, they have to come up with something by the new year, which brings me back to my original point. At least we ain't D.C., but we're getting there. Will Chicago's budgetary game of chicken continue? Will city government shut down as a result? My guess is that they'll come up with something, but not before more press conferences, posturing, and political jiu-jitsu. I mean, they have to, right? The alternative, becoming more like Congress, is unfathomable.
Tonight, Northwestern students react to the school's $75 million agreement with the Trump administration. President Trump targets Minnesota's Somali population, how the land of 10,000 lakes is responding. And O'Hare is on track to reclaim the title of world's busiest airport. But that could mean more traffic, delays, and headaches.
Welcome to the Chicago Report. I'm Schutz. Thanks for spending some of this frigid Thursday with us. Northwestern University is a campus divided after the school's president, Henry Beenan, announced a $75 million settlement with the White House to unlock up to $800 million in federal grant funds. The catch is the school must abide by Trump administration directives on DE&I admissions and rooting out anti-Semitism. Some faculty members say the deal is akin to a ransom payment.
There's no really, logical, practical reason why that money should be going to the Trump administration and not staying with Northwestern to support education and research.
But other students say the deal is a big win for Northwestern and the efforts to combat anti-Semitism. And joining us now are some of those students, Max Schlanger and Christina Scher, part of the Coalition Against Anti-Semitism at Northwestern. Thanks, guys, for being here. Max, I'll start with you. So you are very much in favor of this deal. Tell us why.
Absolutely, I'm in favor of it. I also want to thank you for having us here. I would say I'm in favor of it for two reasons. Firstly, we get our federal funding back. That nearly $800 million per year does so much good for Northwestern, for scientific research as a whole, and for the field of academia. Secondly, the steps it makes to combat anti-Semitism on campus are steps that we as CAN have been working towards for a long time, and they're very inspiring in our interest in protecting every student equally. All
right, so Christina, tell us some of the problems that you saw on campus as it relates to anti-Semitism and how this will change that.
Sure, thank you for having us. Last year, there was countless incidents. There was the vandalism of Kresge building and also the building nearby that houses the Holocaust Memorial at Northwestern. There was a dance demonstration where people, not students, came in and waved around Palestinian flags and had the map of Israel on the back of their shirts crossed out. This was a dance group that was a scheduled event. They claimed to not know the uniforms that they were going to be wearing, or they very much deflected any questions they were asked regarding their stance on the conflict in the Middle East.
And Max, then tell us now what is going to change as a result of this deal.
Well, it's a few things. Firstly, with respect to anti-Semitism, now every incident since October 7th through now has to be re-investigated, both by the school and with partners at a federal level. It also mandates that any future reported incidents of anti-Semitism or without any bias, discrimination, or harassment whatsoever also must be investigated by partners at the federal level.
And Christina, you heard that professor, and there's been other professors and students that have complained about this deal, likening it to a shakedown. Did it have to come to this? Did the school have to pay $75 million to get its funding restored? Or do you think that it took this to take some of these steps on anti-Semitism?
I think that any deal in what it is can have pitfalls and it can have benefits. That's what makes it an agreement. Some parties win a little bit, lose a little bit. And I think that this deal and agreement was very necessary to the school. And I do believe that the $75 million paid is a price worth the safety and comfort of all students on campus. So
part of this effort is to dismantle what was called as the Deering Meadow Agreement, and this grew out of an encampment there of pro-Palestinian students who wanted to bring attention to Israel's role in the war. Do you think what they did there, because you heard that professor, she also told me she thought that they were just trying to shed light on Israel's role in the war, not trying to be anti-Semitic. Do you believe that what they did crossed the line into anti-Semitism, or was it protected protest?
I would say it did cross the line into anti-Semitism. Any student, of course, has the right to demonstrate for a cause that they believe in. They do not, however, have the right to violate the laws of Evanston or to violate the conditions of the Student Code of Conduct, and they did both. Now, for the deal, the school could have shut down the encampment at the time. That was brought to attention by many people, Ken included. They chose not to do so. The consequences from that point out are as a result of the school's inability to deal with their own rules being broken.
And Christina, I know that there's some concern here among CAN, the Coalition Against Anti-Semitism at Northwestern, over whether the school will follow this agreement. So what are the protections in here to make sure that it does follow this agreement?
I think that it is very important that the school follows through with what was asked of it. In the agreement, Clause A stated that Northwestern needs to provide equal protection and safety for all students, which I don't think that anyone should have a problem with.
Mm-hmm. And Max, I know that CAN also brought up some other concerns with the school. There's the campus in Qatar, which is known to be against the state of Israel. Their government has, I think, has been reported to have been supportive of Hamas. Are there further problems that you see here that you want addressed?
Well, absolutely. And I won't get into the specifics of Northwestern's relationship with Qatar or with the Qatar campus. However, Qatar is a nation that hosts the leaders of Hamas, that has a vested interest in undermining the West, including the United States and Israel. And any nation whose values are so adversarial towards our own values, that being America, that being Northwestern, that being liberal democracy as a whole, we should not, as a university, be partnered with a country who acts in that manner.
Christine, we have about 30 seconds left, but do you feel like there is an anti-Semitic atmosphere on campus still, or has it gotten better?
I think that after the funding freeze happened, there was a lot of resentment towards Jewish students in that it was the fault of the Jewish students that this happened, a lot of blame while the anti-Semitism persisted. Both the Kresge incident and the dance happened after the funding freeze. I do have high hopes for after this agreement.
All right, Max Schlanger, Christina Scher from Northwestern University, sophomores there. Thank you very much for being here, and best of luck with the rest of your studies.
Thank you for having us.
You got it. And when we come back, Trump wants Minnesota's large Somali population to pack up and leave. So how is the land of 10,000 lakes responding? Right after this.